All right, everybody. Wednesday, April 3rd, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Thank you all for being here on time. I see quite a few of you here from places around the country. Is anybody in here coming from outside of the US of A? If you are, love to hear from you. Just punch your name in the chat box there. Love to hear from you. Houston is not from outside the USA. Carlos, I'm just kidding around with you. Anyway, I'm glad to see everybody here tonight. We are going to have quite a lot to say here in the small amount of time that I have with you. I do this about once a year, which is what I call the state of the crypto. If any of you were here with us last year, about this time last year, we were coming into a very interesting point, and we stuck our necks out and said that crypto winter is over and that we are going to spring out of crypto winter. That's exactly what happened. And of course, we can all go back and say, yeah, I told you so. Hindsight's 2020, but back then it wasn't hindsight. It was a prediction that we were using. And I want to go through where we are, where we've come from, and where we are, and where we're going, in really both the long term, looking at long term, and looking at year to date. All right. I want to talk about the events that I think are surrounding what's going to happen for this year. And of course, I also want to let everybody know about our 2024 Crypto Boot Camp, which is a 5-day boot camp session that is starting next week. Some of you in here are already part of that. And so you will be receiving emails from me. For those of you that are part of our annual tools package that we did at the beginning of the year, you're getting this. So you will be getting the welcome letter from me within the next 24 hours. Right. For those of you that want to sign up, we'll talk about that here as we get towards the end of the program. So, all right, let's go ahead and get rolling here, Jay. What do you say?
I like that idea. There are some folks from outside of the country posting in there.
I see that.
New Zealand, Leon, Sydney, yep. Australia.
And I see a message I definitely want to highlight. Here we go. Is this recorded? The answer is yes, it is. In fact, it's being recorded as we speak. And the link that you use to get in here live, that's also the link you get to use for the recording. That's right. How easy it is. I do not have to send out a recording to you. All right. So you have the copy. The copy is the link that you use right now. All right. So Grand Cayman. Man, it's been a long time since I've been to Grand Cayman. Paul, glad to have you here. All right. Hey, guys, before we begin, the very first question that did come up that I highlighted was, is this being recorded? Yes, it is. It's the link you're going to use. The live link becomes the recorded link shortly after we are done. All right. Obviously, many of you in here know that if you want to ask a question, you can do so right there in the chat box. All right. We will try to answer as many questions as we can. Jay's going to be answering questions for us as I am speaking, and we'll highlight a few here and there as we get toward the end of our session. Finally, the disclaimer you see on the screen. All right. Let me put it up there real big and bold so everybody can see it. This, you can also pause on your recording. Okay, if you want to read the whole thing word for word. I'm going to mention two quick things here before we begin. Number one, stock options and cryptos have large potential rewards, but also large potential risk. And number two, myself, Jay, and everyone associated with Tom's Trading Room, we are here as educators to show you how we trade in and out of the crypto markets. We're not investment advisors, and we do not give specific investment or trading advice. All right. So there we go. For those of you just joining us a little late, this is the agenda for tonight. I'm going to do a current market update. And what I like to do is I like to talk about stocks, bonds, currencies, commodities, and then roll into crypto. And you might wonder, why in the world am I talking about all this other stuff? Well, it's important to know that the crypto market is an asset, and we need to get a 40,000 foot view of what's going on with the overall markets so that you can get an idea of where the markets, where the dollar, where the bond market, where commodities are pushing crypto around. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but there is a good bit of evidence that suggests that crypto is an asset. Look at the last 24 hours. You can see that right there for you. So we'll talk about that. I'm also going to give you my 2024 crypto outlook. We're going to talk about breakout events for the year. That these events are ones that are really going to pump up the volatility in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the crypto market. And I will end the session talking about my 5-day boot camp for those of you that are interested in getting into the nitty-gritty of how I trade these. Okay. So let's talk about what's happening in the overall markets right now. What you see on the screen is a 120-day chart of the stock market, or SPY. I want to go into stocks, bonds, and commodities. I'm going to look at a couple commodities here. So let's start with SPY. SPY is the S&P 500 depository receipts. As you can see in the last 120 days, I mean the lows. And what I like to do is I like to look for a swing low and potentially a swing high. Now we see the swing low is down here around 410, and that happened at the end of October. Since the end of October, we've gone from $410 on the SPY to over 520, which, by the way, was a target of ours a couple of weeks ago. And now, are we starting the beginnings of a pullback? If we are, these are the areas I'm looking at: 480, 466, and 453. These are retracements. And I want you to keep an eye on this because I want to talk about retracements a few more times here. So if we do get some serious pullbacks, which I don't believe we're going to just yet, and I'll talk about why in just a few minutes, but I don't think you're going to see any big retracements coming out of this in the next few weeks. But if we do get big retracements, these are the buying points that I am looking at, okay? The bond market. Now, the bond market has a lot to do with what the stock market does. And you know why the stock market's kind of sitting on its heels right now? Because bonds, the bond market, dropped to new lows both yesterday and today. So the last couple of days, really since last week, we've seen that kind of that quick pullback. And bonds have gone from about 95, was where we were last week, to where we are right now, which is the low 90s. What's going on? Well, we've had some interesting numbers that have come out that are suggesting that maybe we're not going to see a rate cut right away. And because of that, this particular chart, TLT, has been dropping. We're seeing lower highs and lower lows. You know what else, Jay? You know what else I saw that made me think that maybe we're not ready for a rate cut just yet, like maybe in June? Here's an idea. I know you're muted, so that's okay.
What's that?
I was going to say, so I hold, amongst some long-term stuff, I hold a good bit of SGOV.
Right.
And that is the 0 to 3 month treasury bond rate. And so that pays me every month. And I've been watching this thing. It was paying like last year in the high 20s. I didn't own it back then, but when it got into the high 30s, I started becoming an owner of it. So I started buying SGOV. And SGOV, and I'm talking about 30 cents, 38 cents, 40 cents a month, 42 cents a month. It paid 44 cents, I believe, last month. So for the month that ended last week, I get a little notice that says that on April 5th, I'm going to be paid 45 cents a share. Seems to me that if rates are going to go lower, this thing should be paying me less. It's paying me as high as I've seen in the last few months, which is a confirming indicator that rates, at least for the next 3 months, don't look like they're going to be cut.
Okay.
So that I wanted to put that out there for everybody too.
No, I appreciate that.
Stuff that's waiting on the markets. All right.
MC has it around 52, 54% for June, but that's come down from where it was.
Yeah,
even
absolutely.
as soon as last month, right?
It most certainly was. Now, let's talk about oil, Jay, while I still got you here.
Yes,
What
sir.
did we talk? What did we show everybody in February on USO and oil stocks and other oil ETFs?
The fact that over 15, 17 years, this thing has consistently in the 70 percentile range of success, wins versus losses. USO trades higher over a 5-month period of time.
Yep. And look here. This is right in here is when we started talking about this, which was mid-February. And I said, guys, do yourselves a favor. Number one, go buy your significant other, spouse, whatever. Make sure you take care of them on Valentine's Day. Make sure you take care of yourself the day after Valentine's Day
That's
and
it.
get yourself into the oil markets. I did that. I did that with USO. I did that with FANG. I did that with EQT. And a couple of others,
EOG.
and look what's happened. We bounced up and down a bit, but then come mid-March, this thing just broke out, and all of a sudden now USO's gone from 73 to 82 today.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the squawking heads today, Jay. They're saying oversold. I mean, you could say
Overbought.
oversold. You know what I'm going to say? Look at the all-time highs from coming into late last year. We are hitting them right now.
Yep.
And I think a close above 81.68, and I believe we're at 85. I still think there's another 5% to go.
Yeah, you get the FOMO traders then, the fear of missing out at that time, right?
Exactly. So we were definitely right on that one. Gold. Here is probably the surprise, and I got to say I'm as surprised as most because I also own GLD. And I have owned GLD for a while. And I tell you what, my latest trades on GLD, I thought that I was picking off these highs, 194 and change. That was me right there, Jay, watching it go down. It was me here. It was me here. I mean, I was doing that Jesse Livermore, buy the high, and it kept coming back. But boy, finally, we get above in around the beginning of March. And we get above that 194 and change, and now we're off to the races. And today we hit another new high, which was at almost 213 for GLD, 2,300 an ounce gold. I believe we're going to see. My idea on gold is 2,500. So that is GLD. What has spurred this bull market? What spurred the bull market? Well, you've got interest rates have been in check until recently. And by recently, I mean this week. Institutions are continuing to leverage dollars. We're starting to see institutional money, all of a sudden, I'm not going to say they forgot about 2008, but they're starting to dial up the leverage on the institutional side. It's an election year. That might be why, because maybe they know what Jay and I already know, that the cheapening of money, the government programs, the seasonality of an election year has a double-digit return. And of course, seasonality has been strong so far. In fact, it was very strong coming out of March, and it is strong for the first 2 weeks of April. So the big question is, what about the long and short-term moves in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency? And that's where I want to segue into crypto for the remainder of our time together tonight. So let's talk about this cycle right here. It's called an economic cycle. I did a video on this not too long ago, and I talked about the economic cycle. And I think any of you that catch some of my videos, I was showing you the economic cycle and Ozempic. And so I don't want to get into that. What I do want to talk about is the fact that this particular cycle can be used for more than just the economic cycle. We can use it as a crypto cycle as well. We just have to change a few things. So the crypto cycle looks like this. There are 4 stages to a crypto cycle. We've seen it happen 3 to 4 times now since the beginning of cryptocurrency. So we have about a 4-year cycle in crypto. And so during that 4-year phase, that 4-year cycle, we go through an expansion stage, and that's when Bitcoin usually leads the charge, and we're coming off of a bottom. Ethereum and altcoins will follow. That means think about a train for a moment. You've got the engine, you've got the caboose, you got all the cars in the middle. Bitcoin is the engine. All right. Ethereum and the altcoins are in the middle and the caboose. Typically, there is a bear market rebound, and there are still people that are bearish in this particular area. If you think about last year, because last year we were in the expansion, that expansion phase, and there were still people out there saying, no, don't get involved in this. In fact, I can think of two of them. Charlie Munger was one, and Warren Buffett. And so a lot of even big names said that this is worthless, bear market, et cetera, and yet it continued to move higher. Now, what happened toward the end of the expansion phase was there was something that happened in June that really kind of pushed things forward, and that was BlackRock decided it was time to file a spot ETF. And of course, that spot ETF was accepted at the beginning of this year in January. Saw a little bit of a pullback, but we were starting to see higher lows and higher highs. Peak acceptance, that's stage 2. That's where you see institutional acceptance. In fact, when BlackRock got awarded approval for its ETF, 10 more ETFs were approved the same day. These guys were almost like, I call them suckers, okay? Jay, have you ever watched folks that run long distance or cycle? You got the guy that's in the lead pack. He's taking all the energy. He's taking all the wind to the face.
Right.
and everybody else is tucked in behind him.
Yeah,
and
they're
that's
drafting is what they call it, right?
BlackRock was taking wind to the face because they were dealing with SEC. All the other guys were like, whatever BlackRock does, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to wait for them to follow. I used to run cross country, and I hated being at the front and having people behind me not take their turn and move up front and give me a rest. They just sit behind me and wear me out, which is probably why I didn't get past college in cross country running. Anyway,
you're not going to be in the Paris Olympics this year, huh?
No, I digress.
Okay.
I was thinking of going to the Paris Olympics, but that's a different story.
Sure.
Okay, so peak acceptance. I mean, this is where we have institutional acceptance, which we have. Ethereum and altcoins will change course, and they'll become the leaders, and Bitcoin will follow. The news is primarily bullish. Stage 3 is crest and contraction. Bitcoin's peaking. Ethereum altcoins continue, but they begin to look oversold. The retail trader enters. Right? All of a sudden, everybody's an expert. And we saw that last time, and YouTube was the prime sounding board for all of these folks that were, I call them construction workers one year, and then all of a sudden they became market experts the next year. That's typically when you see that crest and contraction. The retail trader enters, markets go down, public acceptance becomes public outcry. We see those drops, the trough. This is where we drop on in, double-digit pullbacks, big double-digit pullbacks, I might add. Public outcry, lawsuits filed, government intervenes, companies go bankrupt, while crypto searches for a bottom. We saw that happen in the last phase. If you remember, here's our last phase. You started in 2020, and I'm taking us back to 2020 when the government just flushed money into the early expansion. Everything was going higher, trying to push that V-shaped correction. Then we saw that expansion that came into 2021, right? So we saw that expansion come in. And this is, if you remember, the process of crypto futures ETFs came in at that time, right? We saw some pullbacks, and this was before the acceptance. And all of a sudden, the acceptance of crypto futures came in. And here came all of the retail traders. Of course, we know what happened after that. We had a risk-off market. We had even stable coins like Luna that collapsed. And of course, FTX really pushed the bottom of this when FTX turned out to be a fraud. And of course, at that time, it's funny because as Sam Bankman-Fried was on trial, Bitcoin was already finding its bottom, even though, remember, all of the naysayers that were coming out at the end of 2022. At the end of 2022, Bitcoin was actually starting to find that bottom and move higher at that time. And so where are we at now in this phase? Are we in phase 1, 2, 3, or 4? I'm going to tell you right now where I believe we are. I believe we are at the end of phase 1, and we are in the beginning of phase 2. Okay, and so I think we're still halfway in this bull market. right? Yeah, I know some of you probably look at what happened yesterday. You're like, oh, it was down 5% in 24 hours. Are you sure we're not already on the retail side going down? Well, I'm not 100% sure of anything because, the analytical part of me is different than the trader part of me. But the pattern trader in me is always going to go with the patterns that happen time and time again. And the pattern that we're in right now, if you go back and I'm gonna share, there's one event I want to talk about, which is halving. And halving has almost always occurred right around the middle of the bull market. And so when the halving occurs, again, halving has to do with Bitcoin and Bitcoin only. But after halving, then all the attention changes over to Ethereum and changes over the altcoins. And that runs for about a year, right? From 9 months to a year. Then we start to see that cresting and we see that rollover occur. So if you remember, if we were to look at that last bear market, when did that last bear market happen? It happened in remember the top was in 2021, the bottom was in 2022, right? So if you look at the top of 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25, then we should have a top again somewhere in the middle of 2025, which means we're only a year into the expansion and continuation phases that are going on. So events. I promised you events that I'm expecting going to happen that are going to really push the market. There are 4 of them here that we see. First of all, continued inflows into spot ETFs like IBIT, which is the BlackRock ETF. Spot ETFs. The reason spot ETFs are so exciting is because I'm telling you, and I know this as a trader, and I know this as a publisher. As a trader, spot ETFs are just easier to find. They're easier to find because you don't have to have Coinbase to actually now trade a physical, an ETF that trades off the physical, that doesn't drop and have contango spread in it and trade almost like an option where it has time decay premium that drops. These spot ETFs like IBIT, they trade the physical, and the custodian has to hold the physical ETF based on the amount of money that's going into the spots. So there's still inflows going in. I expect inflows to continue to go in. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the most important part is, as a publisher, I talk to publishers all the time. I don't call myself a publisher, but I work with publishers. You know what they're asking me for right now? They're asking me for analysis on the spots, more so than analysis on crypto itself. And I say, well, guys, they're pretty much the same. And they said, no, we want to know the analysis on each one. And I said, well, why? Because our clients are scared of crypto, but they're not scared of getting into something that they can get into with their stock, with their brokerage account, because their brokerage account has protection. All right. They have protection. It's regulated. They feel safer with it. That's part of that continued inflow. Okay, the upcoming halving cycle. So what is this supposed to do to spur bullishness in Bitcoin? How many of you in here do not know what the halving cycle actually means? All right, this is the part for you to chime in right now. I don't know. That's what I'm looking for. If you don't know, when I say halving, HALVING, I didn't spell that wrong. All right. Me or I don't know is an acceptable answer. Because,
thank you, Wendy.
And I see a few of you say chiming in here. That's great. Let me tell you what a halving is. Okay. If I take Easter just flew by. So, how many of you had Easter Sunday dinner and you invited over all the families? I did. And so, apple pies and blueberry pies and of course you always have this one nephew, I'm going to call him, that decides he's not going to eat any dinner, but he's going for the pie. And literally, we have this one nephew. I'm going to call him Joseph because that's his name. Joseph took half the blueberry pie. He halved the blueberry pie. Now, Jay, if you take half a blueberry pie, there's still half left. But what if I go in afterwards and I take half of the half? What's left then?
1/4, 25%.
Yeah. And then you come in and you take half of the fourth. What's left?
Yeah, 12 and a half. Yeah.
So I'm saying this, I'm really dummying this down as much as I can. Every 4 years, give or take, Bitcoin goes through what's called a halving cycle. And so what happens is you've got these miners out there, kind of like mining for gold. You know how you mine for gold? If you mine in one spot and you take out gold in that spot, there's going to be less in that spot. And so what the inventor, what the founder of Bitcoin did was he created something digital, very similar, where the more Bitcoin it's mined, the less that's left over. And what he did is, how do you make something digitally less? When the code, after so much has been mined, you're going to cut the rewards in half. So the rewards started at 50, and then they were halved to where you were only getting 25 Bitcoins when you digitally found these Bitcoins. And basically what you ended up doing was you solved an equation and found blocks on the blockchain. When you found blocks on the blockchain, you were rewarding Bitcoin. So you used to get 50, then you got 25, then you got 12 and a half, then you got 6 1/4. This is where we are, folks. Here we are. Bitcoin started in 2009. It is 2024. It is 15 years later. And now we're about to we're just 2 weeks away from another halving that's going to now drop the rewards to 3.125. And 3.125, I want you to think about this. Bitcoin miners, you know what they do? The big miners like Riot, for instance, or Mara, what they do is they mine coin, and when they get their rewards, they instantly throw it on the market because they need revenue to pay for expenses, to pay the payrolls, and of course to pay back investors. Well, guess what they're about to do? I mean, you want to talk about a company, a philosophy where you're coming to market and you're going to say, oh yeah, by the way, our revenue is about to get cut by 50%. Could you imagine Microsoft saying that? That their revenue is going to get cut 50% every 4 years? So that's what's going on. So think about this. If you're a miner and you're only able to put half of it out there, well, that means there's less supply coming on board, which pushes that in this case, Bitcoin higher. Next, you've got options. Now, we're waiting, and they're going to come really soon. Options for these spot ETFs are coming. And there will be a spot ETF for Ethereum in the not too distant future. Not too long ago, BlackRock filed for the spot ETF for Ethereum. And of course, those other 10 companies, they're going to be right behind them too. So you hear where I'm going with this? Right now, you got inflows that are outpacing outflows. More money's getting put in than taken out. You got an upcoming halving cycle that's going to happen inside of 2 weeks. Pretty soon, we're going to have options on spot ETFs and spot ETF for Ethereum in the coming future. And what you're going to also start to see is adoption into pension funds and endowment funds, because they'll be able to take these spot ETFs in Bitcoin and Ethereum. And oh, by the way, you'd be crazy to not think that they're going to have thematic, I think I'm saying it right, thematic ETFs. So you're going to have like the healthcare coins all in an ETF, the supply chain coins in an ETF. This is all going to come because these guys are going to invent this stuff. When this stuff starts coming, then I think we're going to be at that area where we're cresting again, because they're just making too much stuff now. But those are the big events we see happening. So what's happening today? Well, in the last 24 hours, we have seen Bitcoin drop over 5%. Okay. That, as you see here, it says factory data powers dollar index to the year. So yeah. So, you got data that's coming out, economic data that's suggesting that the dollar is going to strengthen and that interest rates are going to strengthen. And that's going to put the brakes on for stocks, for foreign currencies, for commodities. Of course, tell that to the gold guys. They didn't get that message. And of course, cryptocurrency as well. I think this is short-term played right now. I think, you got to think a little bit you got to think more in the long game when you look at crypto. So I'm going to give you where I see the short and the long right now. So what I want to do is I want to talk about pullback levels. I want to talk about short-term targets. And I want to talk about long-term targets. So these pullback levels we see, 38% retracement on Bitcoin, that puts it back down. And I say back down because we were already here at the beginning of March, 60,285. The 50% retracement, and I'm talking about the low for the year, that's 39,523.60. And the high for the year, 73,118. And then you've got your 38, 50, and 62% pullbacks. 60,285, 56,320, 52,356. Okay, these are areas that I'm looking at as pullback support areas. Now, here's some projections. I did a short-term projection based on that information. What I did was I took the all-time high right here, 73,118, and I took the pullback to 62,85. I subtracted 73,118 minus 62,85. That became 12,833. That's how much it pulled back. I take the 12,833, I add it to the top. That gives me that extension level, which is basically 86,000 Bitcoin. That's where I see the next move if we bust above 73,118. Perfect. How about longer term? Longer term, what I did was I went over the last several years and I looked at the highs, the last two highs, which was back in 2018. And again, as we were approaching 2022, up halving. As you can see what's happened, that 4-year cycle. And you go again, and the next bounce that we see, and this is by the end of the year, there's a possibility we could go up to 109. And that's kind of where I see the end of the year. But I believe that's going to happen more either right before or right after the November elections. And then I've got trendline support based on our rising lows at around 30,000. That's a huge drop for support level. Ethereum. So we know Ethereum is trading, it traded as high as over 4,000 just last month. And it's dropped back since then. We've seen it go from, again, 2,200 to 4,065. It dropped into the 50% retracement, started to move back up again. We pulled back once again. Now, if we can remain above the lows that happened just a month ago, I think this is very bullish for both, not just Ethereum, but Bitcoin as well. Here's our retracement levels, 33.59. That's the 38%. The 50% I have at 31.41. The 62% I have at 29.53. You want some targets for Ethereum? Here are my targets. Number one, again, taking 4,065 and subtracting 31.41 from that, which was and I'm using where we actually went to. That gives me 924. Add 924 to the high, and you get 49.89, very close to 5,000 right there as a resistance number for Ethereum. How about longer term? 5,700, and I'm talking about looking at the low to high to low to next high, puts it around 5,700 with trendline support at 2,000. Those are the two that the big two. All right. When we look at Bitcoin, we look at Ethereum. All right. So Bitcoin and Ethereum summaries. Let's talk about the summary. Once again, I'm expecting near the beginning of the second bull phase. That's where I think we are right now. And, when we look at expansion and now we're seeing that kind of that crest and peak. And like I said, I think November election, at the very least, possibly into 2025. That's where I see this going. All right. BTC will be replaced by ETH as a leader sometime in the next few months. I believe that's going to happen. And Ethereum will become the alpha and Bitcoin will become the beta. Now, I like both these coins. And, again, I'm not your investment manager. I'm not your money manager. I'm not an investor or investment advisor. I'm an investor. Absolutely. I have skin in the game on this one. I have a lot of skin in the game. I have not sold a single Bitcoin, my long-term stuff, since I even started mining it. And I didn't just mine it. I've bought it. I've bought it on the way up. I've bought it on the way down. I've added to my positions. The same thing with Ethereum. I've got Ethereum that goes back somewhere near COVID is when I really started amping up my Ethereum, and I've bought it on the way up and the way down as well. Both of them have been very good to me. So, like I said, I like both of these, as a plan. I would look at them as a plan, like I look at gold as a plan. If you talk to most professionals out there, they say, somewhere, have 5% or have 10% of your money into precious metals. I think there's a small percentage that I would have into something like digital assets, such as Bitcoin or Ethereum. Now, what about altcoins? Altcoins, I believe, are more of the traders type of coin, and I believe they're going to dominate later this year too. Right now, they're the caboose, but we're starting to see some of them that are popping up pretty quick. And so, with thousands to choose from, how do we find the right altcoins? All right. So the way I scan for opportunities, a lot of you know this, but for those of you that don't, I do the trend low to trend high with retracements, just like I showed you with Bitcoin and Ethereum. I do this with every single coin that I look at. All right. And so that's the first of the three things that I look at for potential opportunity. Next thing I'll do is I'll look at things like currency waves. So when I look at, let me back up a second. When I look at these, I just gave you the retracement points for Bitcoin, the retracement points for Ethereum, and I also gave you target projections for each. And we do that with every single coin that we look at. All right. There's thousands of them out there, but we look at, I look at the top 100. And because, a lot of these just don't have the kind of volume that I would like. And to me, I want to be a small fish in a big pond and not vice versa. From there, what we'll do is we'll look at things like currency waves. So currency waves are nothing more than two moving averages, but each cryptocurrency has its own set of currency waves that work for it. They're not all the same number. Like I like to go with a 1030. This is something George taught me a long time ago, the 1030 moving average. But what we'll do is we'll look and see which ones work better with each coin themselves. Okay. And so I thought I'd throw a couple of them at you that are happening right now, right? Again, not a recommendation. And I can tell you this too. I need more than just this. This is the setup. I had two that are setting up right now. One is Flare token. The symbol is FLR. Number two is Golem network token. The symbol is GLN. Now, both of these are showing currency flips right now, where they're actually flipping to the bullish side. Are they showing Fibonacci? Are they showing something else like Darknet? I'm going to show you. Well, that remains to be seen, but I wanted to show you a couple of them that are popping up right now on the radar. Number three, this is the third way we'll look at crypto, and that is by looking at channels. And Darknet is what we call our contrarian signals. This is a way of looking at long, intermediate, and short-term trend channels all in one. So when we overlap these, we like to call this triple stack compression. And this is where we're looking for two or more channels that give us buying opportunities. And so guess what? There are 5 of these that are popping up right now in the Darknet category. And they are Coinbase Wrapped, that's CBETH, Decentralized Social, and the symbol is DESO, QuantStamp, symbol QSP, Silo, SYLO, and Yearn Finance, symbol is YFI. Okay, now there's some big differences between what these trade at. I mean, you take a look at CBETH, that's what I'm calling it, $3,561 for one token. DESO's trading above $30 for a token, but take a look at the QuantStamp. That thing is 0.00358. Then you've got Silo at 0.2 of one, or almost 0.3 of 1 cent. And then you got Yearn Finance, which is the most expensive of the 5, and that's $8,320. So which one is best? Again, all I'm showing you so far is just what is hitting on Darknet. I haven't looked at these any farther. I literally pulled them off the scans earlier today. I wanted to show you what was popping up. Now, what we like to do is we like to find a mixture, and I'll take a look and say, is Coinbase wrapped also a buy on the Fibonacci? Is Coinbase wrap also a buy on currency waves? So we try to find more than one thing happening at a time. Okay. It's kind of like I want to have the wind. I want to have the wind at my back, not at my head. So so I want every reason for the coin to tell me I'm a trade, not just one reason. I need to have more than one reason. But I wanted to share with you what we're looking at tonight. We see often where, and I don't see it tonight, there's not a single one of these five that's also a currency wave. But you know what? Tomorrow's another day. Friday's another day. Monday's another day, etc. And we find these on the regular. And so why am I excited right now? Well, guess what? I have been waiting for Bitcoin and Ethereum to pull back and consolidate. Because when they pull back and consolidate, the same thing happens with these with the signals we see here. And when that happens, we'll start to see areas where Fibonacci and or currency waves and or darknet are all flashing buy signals. And when they do, that's when I jump in and pounce. So I wanted to share with you what we're seeing on these different scenarios and applying them to altcoins. Using this kind of stuff, this is what we've closed up so far this year. And so we've closed up about a dozen positions. You know, I mean, that's roughly about one a week on average. And that's typically what we end up finding. We try to find our best coin of the week. Anyway, you can see here, Maker was one, TrueFi. There's a Coinbase trade in there too. We don't limit this to just cryptos. We look at crypto stocks too. I have about 3 dozen stocks that trade on the stock exchange, that are optionable, that have something to do with Bitcoin, Ethereum, or the blockchain technology. But then you see Alchemy, Origin, COV's on there, TrueFi, Biconomy, Compound. Robinhood was on here too. If you don't think Robinhood has something to do with cryptocurrency, they were the first exchange that started trading crypto. They were trading, I call it faux crypto, but they're now trading real crypto too. But absolutely, the first exchange out there that was involved in cryptocurrency. And Jasmine and Ethereum are on here as well. You know, great closed positions. But again, what I'm showing you is that what did all these have in common? All of these had in common that they were firing on more than one of the 3 different types of signals that we look for. All right. Now, what we've done so far tonight is we've talked a little bit about the markets. We've talked a little bit about Bitcoin and Ethereum. I gave you the areas that I like on the buy side. I gave you my next round of targets for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I also showed you how we go in and look for these currency wave buys, darknet buys, and of course the Fibonacci targets, which I apply those to everything that we trade. If you're interested in joining me next week, I'm actually starting this next week. This is not going to be anytime, down the road. Next week, we are doing our once a year cryptocurrency boot camp. This is my 2024 boot camp. I've been doing this now for, I want to say this might be the 4th year that we've done this, right? So what am I doing in here? I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. But one of the things I am going to be doing is trading in front of you, trading with you. And the good news is that I can do this in the crypto world. I won't trade in front of you. I will trade behind you. I'm going to give you the actual trade that of the trades I find. And I'm planning on finding no less than 5 trades. I'm going to try to find one a day. And so we're going to, I'll show you exactly how we do those. Some of those will be limit orders. Some of those will be market orders. Some of those will be stop orders. And I'll explain the difference between each one and how I use them in this particular world. So that is, that's my plan. Jay is putting the link out there for any of you early birds that want to take advantage of it. You're going to need to go in and copy that link. All right. I'm going to put the link up there so everybody can see it. So it's right there on the screen. You'll either need to copy that down, either write it down or copy it down. You don't need to start off with HTTPS. If you want to, you can start off with tomstradingroom.com/24 crypto bootcamp and then --members. You put that in. I'm going to get there in just a moment, but it's going to look a lot like what I'm showing on the screen. Okay. So I click on the limited time offer. That'll show you the class overview. This is a 5-day session where I'm going to talk about the foundations of crypto. I'm also going to talk about the different types of orders that we use and how you can access those. We're going to talk about crypto not only in Coinbase, but I want to talk about crypto in stock exchanges as well. I'm going to show you my crypto power list. So you'll walk away with my crypto power list, and we're going to talk about seasonal trading with cryptocurrencies. That will be on Monday. Tuesday, I'm going to go into the FIBO levels and trading the currency wave system with live setups. Wednesday, we're going to do trading the darknet strategy with cryptos and crypto stocks with live setups. Part 4 is going to be I call this my craps strategy using options. And it's also going to have live setups. And then part 5 is going to be a week in review, live trade setups, and using the crypto app. All right. And I'm going to have Ray popping on here to talk about crypto, both the crypto software and crypto app, which are also available as part of this program. So each of these days, I'm going to try my best to find something to trade as well. All right. So my plan is to have, we got 5 days, 5 different positions, and love to say 5 figures, but I'm going to say we'll see what I can trade 5 figures, but I'm looking for some big time returns on these as we are like I said in the middle of what I think is the bull phase. So it's going to be interesting time we're going to have together. Again, this is going to start Monday at noon, and it will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at noon. Now, this is going to come with the 5 live bootcamp sessions, April 8th through the 12th. Got the crypto power list. You get on my discussion boards so you can talk to me, the team, and each other. We've got the recordings you'll get as well. I'm going to upgrade you to complete trader scan so you can scan everything that I scan and do everything that I do to get the picks that I get. There's also live support that will help you do that during market hours. Of course, you can email us a live support at any time. All right. Regular price on this that we have offered in the past is $19.95. Okay. And so for you in the room, all of you in the room, we are giving you an 80% off for this. All right. For those of you, as a thank you for being a member of any of our services, as a thank you for being an Optionetics student, which some of you have been Optionetics students with us for decades. Right. So we are slashing this price down to $495. All you have to do is click on the blue button off the link that Jay gave you to register now. And then what's going to happen is you're going to have an area which is terms of service. Read that. If you click I agree, it's going to take you to our PayPal page. And again, folks, it's https://tomstradingroom.com/24 crypto bootcamp -members. Right. If you tried to put it in and it doesn't come up, you're probably missing something in there. It's okay. I'm going to follow up with an email shortly after this event so that all of you in here can take advantage of this. All right. So there you go. You click I agree. And what's going to happen is it's going to bring up our PayPal. Now, if you have PayPal, that's great. You just put your PayPal information in and hit next and continue, and you'll get that special price. If you are a guest, you're still going to get the special price. If you don't have PayPal, what you do is you come down here where it says pay with debit or credit card. You click there, and then this is going to open up. It's going to be your guest checkout. You just follow the directions there, and you will still get the $495 80% off price. All right. Jay, are there any questions that I might have missed as we round out our crypto agenda for the evening?
Regarding the special tonight, no, you did not miss anything. That was the important one right there. People just, for some reason, are not fans of having a personal PayPal account, and we're not requiring that at
I
all.
know that. I hear that every time, but
Sure.
PayPal's
This is just a
has never
software
steered us
portal
wrong.
to enact the transaction. That's all
Yeah,
that is.
and you know what? You don't have to have one. That's the thing I'm letting everybody know.
Right.
You
Not
can
at
just
all.
pay with a debit or credit card, and then you don't have to have a PayPal account. You don't need a PayPal account to utilize the service. So sessions are all being recorded, Nancy. So so you can watch them on your own. In fact, you're going to have those sessions will be available for you for the rest of the year. So you can go back and replay them until your heart's content. As a member of our boot camp, that is one of the perks you're going to get is you get those
In the same
referral 40.
fashion as what Tom said tonight. This is done so that the link that you use to access him live is the same link you're going to use as an on-demand means to watch this as many times as you like throughout the rest of the year. 5 times in a day, 5 times in a month. It's your decision. But hang on to that link. We're not sending separate emails with a separate recording link that you got to keep track of all these different links. You've got the one for each session. Keep that one. That's your library.
That's right. And
Tom,
so,
it's noon Eastern time. I'm clarifying for Lloyd. I just want to clarify for all. Noon Eastern time.
That's correct. Noon Eastern time. And then let me mention this too. All right, because this is starting Monday at noon. The sessions that we're doing, the $4.95 special, that cuts off Sunday night. I mean, this is really we're only going to offer this for a few days. By the weekend, we're done because we're going to move forward on Monday with our group. And like I said, if you miss it live, that's okay. What we're looking at, folks, with the majority of what I'm looking at, it's not day trading. We're not getting in and getting out. A lot of stuff we're going to be looking for is going to be that 30, 60, 90 day trade. So, if you don't get it, if you find something that I'm doing and you like it, you don't have to be there live to see it. All right. So there you go. This is a training service. It is a training service that you'll get the training. You will have the scans. We're going to upgrade your scans so that you know how to do this. I'm teaching you how to do this so that you can do it on an ongoing basis yourself. That you don't need me. You'll know, hey, this is what Tom's seeing. I'm running the scan. I know what Tom's seeing. I know what Tom's doing. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to put my knowledge and my scans into your hands. And that's what we're doing here. All right. So last thing I'll just mention is, once again, let me throw that, Jay, can you throw that link up one more time?
Gladly.
And also, if you have any questions, Jay had put this up. So Jay, you put the link up. I'm going to put up the support at tomgentile.com. And that is in case you, and I'll throw that up there, support at tomgentile.com. If you have any questions that we failed to answer for you tonight. And of course, if you want to sign up, there's the link once again, tomstradingroom.com/24 crypto bootcamp members. All right. I will have
general education question if you got time, just because a few people asked the same question. When you were talking about replacing, or they're asking if you meant replacing by market cap.
Yeah. Well, that's how that top 100 I look at is by market cap. And so, you want something that has a large market cap. You don't want something that has a small market cap, because the small market cap means probably even smaller float, which means prices will be completely different from the time you start buying to the time you're done buying. I would rather be in something that is very efficient. We'll just put it that way. All right. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Do we have long-term crypto? Well, we constantly go over our cryptocurrency pieces, and I share them with the folks that are in the membership as well. So, I mean, if I see those phases, then our folks, our members, our discussion board members are the first to know about these. All right. So, how long after boot camp will we provide trade suggestions? Well, the trade suggestions is really how what I'm doing. Once again, folks, is I want to teach you how I think. so that when you see the scan, you know what I'm looking at, you know what I'm interested in. And my plan is to try to teach you how to become, a trader where you can think for yourself, but more importantly, you can say, well, what would Tom be looking at? And I know there's a lot of folks in here watching this tonight. You already know what I'm talking about because you've done partner programs with us in the stock market with stock options and such, and you're using the same scans I'm using it. And so you know what I'm looking at when it comes to seasonality, or it comes to statistics, or it comes to trend or volatility. And I want to do that with you in the crypto world as well. All right. Crypto world's a very interesting area. If I could teach you anything, it would be what to stay away from. All right. I don't like ETFs that are futures based. Don't like them. I don't like anything that's take a look at Coin Market Cap. We're going to be sharing with you a lot of good websites outside of my own that offer you very useful information. And we'll use those to learn what to stay away from. Okay. To learn what to stay away from. All right. Thank you all for joining us on this session tonight. I hope you got something out of it. If anything, you know where I stand on Bitcoin. You know why I stand on Ethereum. And be very careful when it comes to altcoins, because there are some that are going to give you some major returns, but there's also a few out there that could give you some major headaches if you don't know what you're doing. For those of you that are signing up for our boot camp, I look forward to seeing you in our boot camp. And again, if you have any questions, support@tomgentile.com. And of course, I'll be sending out to all of you all the links to what we did tonight in our session. Thank you all very much. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.